Hi guys, this is Brad Lincoln from Pathway to Oz, and today I'm going to talk to you about what's required to work as a carpenter in Australia. We're going to go right through all of the basics, just so you can get a strong understanding of how it works over here. So first one, tax file or ABN number, or both. Okay, so this is a tax file number is required for anyone who wants to undertake any form of work in Australia. Australian citizens, international students, people on permanent visas, everyone requires a tax file number to do work, as long as you have work rights, that is. An ABN number is slightly different. You need a tax file number to apply for an ABN number, okay? And an ABN stands for Australian Business Number. Now, this is something that allows you to contract work or essentially work as your own small business. But the downside to this, or something that, not so much a downside, but something you need to prepare for, is you need to look after your own side of the business. So doing your own tax, paying your own super, all that side of thing. But in the construction sector, an ABN is a very, very common way to invoice and get paid, all that sort of thing. Okay, second one, personal safety equipment. Now, this is something you've got to have. And what you've got to understand in Australia when it comes to working in construction is that safety is taken extremely seriously. Okay, I mean, it's no joke whatsoever. So just to get onto a site, I mean, you're going to need steel cap boots, high-vis workwear, safety glasses, ear and hearing protection. I mean, that's just the basics. Some sites require you to wear a hard hat the whole time you're on site, safety gloves, all that sort of thing. I mean, you would get told what is required of you within your induction period when starting a site, but I mean, the basics of steel cap boots, high-vis, safety glasses means something everyone should have when looking to start off in the construction industry. Tools. Now, this is super, super important, guys. Now, in Australia, when you're classed as a carpenter or any types of tradesperson, you are expected to have your own tools. Okay, so I know in some other countries and in other people's experiences, you may work for a bigger company and they might supply you tools. That doesn't happen here, okay? A tradesperson is required to have all their tools that they need to get the job done. So to give you an example, I mean, a carpenter's basic tool set would be drills, hand and power saws, basic hand tools, so you mean like screwdrivers, chisels, hammers, that sort of stuff, tape measure, finishing and nailing guns. So if you want to be taken seriously and be able to get the job done, make sure you are building up your tools, okay? Because you're not going to be able to get any work if you don't have them. Okay, construction industry white card. Now this is another thing that is an Australian standard. Okay, just to step foot on a job site, you are going to need what we call a white card. Okay, now white card, it's basically a little certificate, a little license that says you have the basic understanding of safety on a job site. So you know about the protective equipment you need to wear. You mean that you shouldn't be chucking drills and chucking hammers around a job site and doing things and undertaking your work not in a safe way. Okay, so it's just making sure that you have a basic understanding of safety. A white card is generally done online. Some do face-to-face courses and it'll cost you about $50. That's roughly. Now, the beauty of a white card is it doesn't actually ever expire. Okay, so once you've got it, you've got it. The only time it does expire is when if you had a break from working in construction for longer than a 2-year period, you may need to go do a refresher course and just get it updated. But essentially, yeah, the card doesn't really expire, so it's a handy piece of license to have. Okay, insurances. Now, insurance is something that you may not have thought about, but something that is very, very important when working in the construction sector. The reason I say this is because if you are working under ABN, which as I said, is a really common way to work in the construction industry, so you working as your own small business or essentially subcontracting for a bigger builder or company, you're going to need to have insurance. And by insurance, I mean public liability insurance being the most common. So what this is basically if you do something that on site in your scope of work that injures someone or is detrimental to the overall build, so you mean something falls down, something doesn't work properly, and it's on you, that's where public liability insurance comes into it. Okay, so It's one of those things that the Australian government will make you have if you are trying to do any scope of works within the construction sector. So it's just going to depend on the levels of cover you need, whether you're working for a bigger company just subcontracting, or you're running your own crew or your own sort of building company, so to speak. You're going to need different levels of cover. But to give you a rough idea, for a standard person working under ABN, subcontracting to a bigger company, it's going to cost you under $1,000 a year. So it's not a huge expense, but it's something that can save you a huge amount of money in the future if something doesn't go to plan or someone accidentally gets injured or killed. Okay guys, and the most important one, this is obviously a bit of a no-brainer. To work as a carpenter in Australia, you need to be qualified. Okay, so the qualification is either doing the Australian apprenticeship or studying a minimum of Cert 3 in carpentry. Okay, that is what is going to allow you to work as a qualified carpenter in Australia. And of course, this is where Pathway to Oz comes into it. So if you are thinking about going down this path and wanting to work as a carpenter in Australia, not too sure where to get started or if your previous experience or qualifications recognised, just remember, you can always contact the team at Pathway to Oz via Facebook, phone, or email. Thanks guys.